Of course, you can't judge people by what they look at and what they think. It's what they do that you got to judge people by. It's so crazy. Like, everybody turns into a child molester once you start doing that. Anybody that says they haven't been attracted to a 17-year-old girl is lying. Why is it that 17-year-old girls and 17-year-old boys can have sex together, but an 18-year-old can't have sex with either one? That's illegal. Or anytime a guy has sex with a girl can always just say they raped him, and there's nothing you can do about it. You're going to jail. I mean, there's hardly any way to disprove it. They could say they screamed no and they told you not to and all this stuff, and yeah, no, unless you videotape it or something. What are you going to do? Oh, and why is it that, okay, girls and boys reach puberty at around the age of 12 or 13, I think. So, you know, they're making egg cells and sperm cells, stuff to reproduce and make babies at the age of 12 and 13, which is nature telling you, okay, you're ready to have sex, or God telling you, okay, you're ready to have sex. Either way you look at it, nature or God, at the age of 12 or 13, he's saying, you're ready to have babies, you're ready to have sex. And yet we as a society, no, you gotta be 18. Or 16, depending on where you live, because you have to be mentally prepared and you have to have a job and be able to support the baby and yada yada yada, which that's all good. I understand that, that makes sense, but you know, you can't get all religious and say, you know, God doesn't want you to have sex with anybody until you turn 18, because that's not right. He's making the stuff at the age of 12 and 13. Like, I'm sure African tribesmen and aborigines and stuff like that, they probably have sex at 12 or 13. I'm sure those people in Africa do, that just have like kids everywhere and no money to support them. But you can't say it's a religious thing. What about this? So you have a guy who's underage. He's 17 or 15 if you're in like one of those 16-year-old places. And he has sex with somebody, a girl who is 19, 20, let's say, and he rapes her. Okay, the younger guy, 15, 17-year-old guy, rapes a 20-year-old girl. Okay, she charges him with rape, but could not he also charge her with statutory rape? Because she did have sex with somebody who was underage, even if it was against her will. I mean, apparently he doesn't have the consent. He hasn't reached the age of consent to give her permission to have sex with him, even though he was the one raping her. That's a possibility. What about this? Two underage people have sex. Two, let's say 14-year-olds have sex. Could they both charge each other with statutory rape? Both of them go to jail? Or juvenile detention or whatever? What about this? Say, you're having sex with a mentally challenged person who is 25, but they have the mental capacity of a 12-year-old. Have they reached the age of consent? If they don't really have the... See, it's different for every person. You don't know mentally who's what age or developmentally how old someone is. So why should the government even be drawing the line? Why should they have any say about what we do? We're the ones that elected the government to enforce our laws. We're the ones that decide the laws, not the government. How about this? Someone who is 19 has sex with someone also 20, 19, over the age, both over the age. But then he finds out that his birth certificate was wrong because he was adopted and they didn't know his actual birth date. And then he finds his true parents and he realizes he's only 16. Oh no! Suddenly it's rape. What about this? Giant orgy. Some of them are underage, some of them are overage. But they're all so drunk they don't remember who had sex with who. But they want to charge somebody with statutory rape. But they can't definitively prove who it was. And one of them gets pregnant, but the father could be any one of them. What about that situation where you have like a big bunch of people? This happens on Marital a lot. A girl gets pregnant and she had like 8 or 10 boyfriends and she doesn't know which one is the father. Like, say they had like a big orgy and there's like 8 guys and 1 girl on the same night. Why should one guy be responsible just because his sperm were stronger swimmers? That doesn't make any sense. I mean, they're all there doing it. They're all guilty of having sex with her that night that she got pregnant. That seems odd and nasty, but odd that one guy would have to go to pay child support even though there were 7 other guys doing the exact same thing he did. What about this? 17-year-old midget, 28-year-old handicapped guy. Nice. Nice. I don't know what I'm talking about anymore. I love to think up scenarios like this just because that's what I like to do. I watch a lot of court dramas. I I don't know why I'm so interested in it. What about this? Two lesbians have sex with each other. The one lesbian purchased some sperm at a sperm bank, secretly inseminates her partner with her fingers. Would she have to pay child support, or would the sperm donor have to pay child support if she gets pregnant? Or could the other lesbian charge this one with rape, even though she agreed to have sex with her, but she didn't agree to have sperm inserted into her? What about this? A guy, it's 14 years old, clones himself and freezes him cryogenically. Later on, he turns 21, has a sex change, unfreezes his clone, has sex with his 14-year-old clone. Did he rape himself? Or would the 14-year-old be considered a 21-year-old since he was alive 21 years, even though he was cryogenically frozen at the age of 14? What about this? You have a time machine. You go back into the past. Have sex with your mother before your father did. Have your own... No, wait. What about this? You're married to someone. All of a sudden, one night, you have sex with your wife, and she decides to say she didn't want to have sex that one night, and you raped her. Is it possible to rape your wife if you're married to her? Or is that part of your marital duties? Would the courts acknowledge it as rape? What about this? You're a woman who invents a time machine. You go back in time. A guy had raped you before, but then you go back in time and you meet him that night that he raped you, and then you tell him, you give him your consent, even though the past version of you doesn't give you the consent, but the future version of you does. Oh, even better. What if the first time you did give the consent, then the woman from the future decides to go back and revoke the consent, and then he decides to rape her anyway? No, wait, that wouldn't work. What about this? Guy goes into a sperm bank. He brings his friend's sperm sample hidden inside his clothes. He pretends to give his own sperm sample and signs his name to it. Years later, a woman gets pregnant using his sperm sample, tries to sue him for custody of the children, or for child support, that is, and he has a DNA test, proves it's not his. She ends up suing another boyfriend that she assumes must be the only other father, because it's the only sperm that was ever near her, when actually it was this other guy nobody knew anything about. Huh. What about this? A guy's at a nude beach, standing in line to buy a soda pop. There's a naked girl in front of him. Somebody pushes him. He accidentally has sex with her. He probably wouldn't get her pregnant that way, but was it rape? Would the guy who pushed him be the rapist? Because you can get a guy for murder if a guy tells somebody, like hires a hitman to kill you. Whoever's responsible for the person getting murdered can be charged with murder. So if the guy that pushed him was responsible for her getting raped. What about this? A blind girl has sex with a guy she thinks is her boyfriend, but turns out to be someone else. Would that be rape? She was consenting to having sex that night, but not with the same person she thought she was having sex with. Same situation. Guy is dating, or a girl is dating twin guys. They switch, do the old switcheroo. She has sex with the brother thinking it's her boyfriend. Did the brother rape her? What if since they were doing the switcheroo, they agreed on it, would the other brother be also responsible for the rape since he was an accomplice? What about this? Guy has sex with a Siamese twin woman. The one head agrees, the other head doesn't. Would he only get half a sentence? What about this? Guy rapes a woman, she identifies him, weeks later, but during those weeks, he's a lumberjack, and he's in a tragic saw accident where his penis gets cut off. No, wait. He gets into a tragic penis cutting off accident, but he's the only one there. So he's the only one that knows that his penis has been cut off. He does all the medical assistance himself. He doesn't go to a doctor. And he claims that he couldn't have raped her because his penis has been cut off for years. I really should be writing some fucking comedy movies. I don't know why I'm sitting in my house working weekend shifts. What about this? A girl has a very small vagina. A guy has a very large penis. She claims that he rapes him, and in court, he uses the argument that he couldn't have fit inside her. There's no way he could have raped her. So then his lawyer asks her to show her vagina to the courtroom. Would she be forced to do that, like with the OJ trial? If it doesn't fit, you must acquit? Or would that be, in turn, sexually harassing her by making her publicly display herself? And would the lawyer be culpable? Culpable? Yeah. I watch some court shows.